Carlo Gatti was one of a number of entrepreneurs who actually developed the ice trade. His career is fascinating. He was born in Switzerland, in a valley, a very poor valley in Switzerland, the Ticino Valley. Carlo actually, as a young teenager, set off and walked all the way to Paris to be with his father. Eventually he got to Paris, and indeed he did work with his father in the restaurants in Paris for a number of years. And then he decided that he would come to London to actually make his fortune, which he genuinely did. He came across to this country with the intention of opening a string of restaurants. He then realised that he was wanting to make a little bit more money, and so not only did he continue to run his restaurants, but he then moved into the ice trade, and he was a major contributor to the importation of ice from Norway into Britain during the latter part of the 19th century. Originally, ice in this sort of area was taken off rivers and canals, but two problems: both were contaminated pretty badly, and the other was that they didn't produce enough ice for the demand. The demand was growing dramatically, and so it became clear that they had to find another source. So Norway was the obvious place, and in Norway they developed a number of areas where ice was harvested. They had man-made lakes, and men and horses helped in the cutting of the ice into blocks, square blocks, and we've got on display simulated blocks of ice on show in the museum. They were stacked closely together. There was very little air circulation between the faces of the blocks, and consequently little chance of any further deterioration by the temperature rising. It was harvested through the winter, each winter in Norway, and stored in ice houses. From then on, and in March each year, it was transferred into ships, which brought the ice over here into our museum building. From then on, each day, it was distributed around London in carts like this. This is a model. This model goes back to actually the 19th century. So it was made at the very time when the ice trade was being operated in the way I've just mentioned. So this was an excellent model of carts in use at that time. And these carts will be maintained and stored here overnight in this building, and the horses, in the days of Carlo Gatti, the horses were stabled in buildings either side of this one. Around 1900, it became possible to make the ice mechanically over here. The Gatti company merged with two other companies, and they probably merged so that they could afford to buy a machine to make the ice mechanically. Other companies were doing the same, which meant that the need for importation of ice reduced and came almost to nothing. It came to absolute nothing at the time of the First World War, when the Germans put an embargo on the North Sea. Here we've got an excellent model of this building when it operated as an ice warehouse between around 1850 and 1900. Here you can see the canal boat with the ice. It's brought the ice from Limehouse to here. The ice was unloaded and stored in these two ice wells. From March onwards, the new ice was loaded into carts like that and taken off to the customers in the London area. You will see that on the far side, as far as you're viewing it, behind the main building, there is a low building, and that building was actually where the horses were stabled overnight. We also understand that that building probably housed the ice workers. As we understand it, the ice workers were actually recruited from Switzerland, from the valley where Carlo Gatti originally originated, and they came over here in groups. He recruited them to work over here, and for a time they would live in that building on the far side over the horses. Around 1900, the building's use was changed because we didn't need the ice wells anymore. So what did happen was, probably the old building with the stables was sold off, and a floor was put in at that level in the building. The ice wells were filled in, and the building itself was used on the ground floor as a depot for the carts and so on, and then upstairs that's where the horses were now stabled, and that's why we've got a first floor in, and it's also why we've got the ramp over that side where the horses had to climb up that ramp to go to their stables upstairs.